I don't know, man. I mean, just kind of reflecting on it because it is pretty much over for us. We are going to go to Major 4, and then that'll be when it's officially over. But man, what a tough year for us. This has been a year to forget big time for the breach. It's hard to pinpoint where it went wrong or how it went wrong because when we went into the season, we said it so much. We were so excited this season. I mean, dude, I'm looking at the posters that we have here of the old team. I mean, it's insane.
That's the best roster we had on paper. I remember at the beginning of the year, we were all so excited. We had Slasher, we had Priesta, we had Capsidal, and we had Snoopy.
There really is a skill difference between the guys that are in the top 4 teams compared to some of the lower teams. I mean, there simply is. Is anybody denying that?
I don't think so.
People get all upset about that, but I'm like, man, Atlanta FAZE and OPTIC Texas and Ultra in New York, those players are just simply better than a lot of the other players. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 176 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your hosts, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how we doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. It's a nice Saturday. Super nice.
Hell yeah, it is, dude. The
Nice and
weather is
breezy.
phenomenal. Like that, we've been finally getting what we've been hoping for. I mean, again, everybody's getting our weekly weather update here. We're doing this like you guys are going to hear this a month from now. I hope the weather is still this way. So on June 8th, we were stoked about the weather. We were really happy about it. But yeah, man, I went outside and I was like, I was happy. I just had like my t-shirt on. I wasn't dying or anything, but we talked about it a while ago. I think I am developing allergies.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting that fucking old now that this is
sucks.
starting to become. Yeah, I don't get it that bad, but I think I told you a while ago, I've been getting headaches.
Yeah.
And I went to the Minute Clinic at CVS, and I just wanted to like check in with them. I was like, man, I never get headaches like this. You know, like if I don't eat or don't drink enough water throughout the day, like, yeah, you know, I was like, but I've had them every day and they're slight, you know, but they're like, more than likely it's the pollen that's your problem, you know, because they said we've had a few people who come in and they think they're really, really sick. And it's like, no, it's really just your allergies. They're so bad. You know, and we got rain and I looked at my street and it's just yellow. Yeah. And I was like, I just stepped outside, looked, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, this year too, apparently is the worst year for pollen, like this season as a whole. Like there's going to be more pollen in the air than there normally is. And yeah, with allergies too, they come and go though. From what I've heard, it's like every 7 years.
Like, oh yeah.
You might get them. Yeah. It's weird. It's like, you know, people have like allergic reactions to stuff and then they kind of just grow out of it.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing.
Are you allergic to anything?
Not that I know of. Like I'm allergic to, I mean, everyone kind of like mosquito bites. Like my mosquito bites are like massive. Like you've seen.
Oh
them.
yeah, I remember you showed me.
I'm more allergic to.
He's not bullshitting everybody. Like it gets really bad.
I bet other people like have it too because it's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like uncommon, you know. Like, you know, most people when they get mosquito bites are like little red dots, and then you know you scratch them and stuff, and maybe they get like slightly rounder. Yeah. Mine like turn into legit like welts.
Yeah, and they take up like your whole arm.
They just swell. Yeah, and it like hurts. Like I got one on my calf last week, and I'm used to it now, but like I was just scratching it, whatever, and then I was just standing on that leg and I could just feel the blood and the pressure just in my calf and it hurt so bad.
Damn.
Yeah. It's just, dude, it's annoying. It's because of one, I'm just more allergic to them, which is why if I ever went to anywhere in Asia, Southeast Asia, I need to get like shots for everything.
Yeah.
Bro, I'd die from like malaria or something.
Like, yeah, like, for real.
If mosquitoes and stuff started like migrating, I'd be fucked.
Oh yeah, dude. No, you'd be toast. That's like I would love to go to those areas and travel there, but bro, when I think about the amount of bugs and stuff, I can't. Like I would love to go to Australia. Mm-hmm. That's one of my one of our closest friends. He's gone there, and every time I see photos of it and like hearing him talk about it, I love it. But dude, when I think and I see videos of like the spiders and the snakes and all the bugs there, miss me with that.
Yeah, you're living. You're living in their world. They're
I
not living
know.
in yours.
Yeah, and, like, I'm pretty sure I don't think I'm wrong on this. Isn't it, like, the vast majority of Australia is not inhabited?
Yeah,
Like, a lot of it is
yeah.
just, like, what is it out there? Is
It's
it's
just desert.
yeah, I can't remember if it
Yeah.
had a name, though, if it's got
Oh,
something.
name? Uh,
Yeah,
I'm sure it does.
it's something that I know, but it's just insane because you go out there and, again, you just see, like, Tamani Desert, or this is Great Victoria Desert. That's not what I'm thinking of, though. I can't really think. But, like, yeah, it covers about, what does it say? 18% of Australian mainland, but about 35% of the continent receives so little rain, it's practically a desert.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
bro,
that's where, they dropped off prisoners. They
yeah.
just dropped prisoners off in Australia and then let them try to survive.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, not literally, it was a
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah. I mean, you
I
see
swear.
all these, like, I've seen all these, videos on Twitter, and I immediately report them. I'm like, "Get that out of my feed," where they have some spider that's, like, that big,
Oh, yeah.
Like, you seen, like, the camel spiders?
Yeah, yeah.
And they, like, burrow into the sand and stuff, and they're
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
bro,
I saw
it gives
I
me
saw a video
chills.
of I don't know the name of the spider, but it was, like, clearly, like, it was pregnant, and
Oof,
someone went to go stomp
dude,
hit it with a boot, and they hit it with
dude,
the boot, bro, it exploded
dude,
black, just
dude,
went everywhere.
you
It was
gotta shut the fuck
dude.
up. Dog,
It was
like, bro,
crazy.
the hair on my arms is standing up.
It was disgusting.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know about other people, man, for me, spiders, way worse than snakes. Snakes all day. Like,
Yeah.
snake, I don't like
Yeah.
them. 'em, don't get me wrong, I'm not, like, a big fan of snakes, but if you're like, "Oh, yeah, hold this snake or hold this
Yeah.
spider," I'm
Oh,
holding the
yeah.
snake all day,
Yeah.
you
Me
know?
too.
I don't care what it is,
Yeah.
you know?
The
Yeah.
it's just these spiders they're gross. I mean, like, I'd much rather keep spiders over mosquitoes because legit, I don't think mosquitoes do anything for, like, the world. Like,
Dude,
actually, I don't think they do anything. Spiders at least kill mosquitoes.
I was just gonna say that. Like, what does pollen do and what do mosquitoes do?
Yeah, I have no idea. Mosquitoes just carry diseases.
Yeah, bro,
Yeah.
and gnats too.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So,
They eat my bananas, bro. That's all
the the damn mosquitoes, dude. It's because apparently if you're darker skinned, right, in general, like, your blood is a lot, they say, like, sweeter to them. So that's why they always gravitate towards people with darker skin. I'm
yeah.
like, "That's ass." Like, it sucks.
You got dealt a bad hand, bro.
Dude, it sucks.
It's the
I
price you pay, bro.
and that's what really sucks because when it's night, right? Like, there have been plenty of times when all of us were, at night, we're craving ice cream, right? We all go get
Mhm.
ice cream, but it's freaking, like, 75 degrees and humid outside, and it's nighttime. So I wanna wear shorts and a t-shirt. But if we
Yeah.
go get ice cream and sit outside and, nice summer night, I'm gonna be sweating my ass off, but I have to wear long sleeves
Yeah.
and, like, pants, or I'm gonna get eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
sucks.
I don't know. I mean, I have a bad problem with it. I mean, dude, my blood is probably fucking bitter, dude. Like that, but like they don't. They still get me though,
No,
but
yeah,
not as
yeah,
bad as you though, you
yeah.
know. Yeah, because you'd have to deal with that. Like I remember we go to our spot in where was that ice cream spot that we go to? Shout out
Attleboro?
shout out Bliss. Yeah, when we
Attleboro?
go to
Yeah.
Attleboro, yeah, and get ice cream there, yeah, bro, you'd be like kitted up, sweatshirt
Yeah.
on, the pants. You're just like, bro.
Yeah,
You know. But hey, it is what it is. But now we're hoping that we keep this weather here. Um, because otherwise, man, like I mean, I'm doing good with it. I'm happy that we have it.
yeah.
I'm a little sad though, honestly, because as we're doing this right now, we just saw Boston Breach game. It came and it went.
Yep,
It was not a good game for us once again. It was a 3-0
yep.
loss to Seattle Surge, I
Seattle
believe.
Surge, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
I'll get at least it's not a game 5 loss.
that's true.
We're just getting 3-0'd.
We're we're getting
Like,
3-0 by but and that's the thing too. I mean, because like obviously today, something that we wanted to talk about since we really haven't had an episode in a long time. Because back in the day, if you're like an OG COD Casuals fan, we used to just talk about the CDL pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And we haven't done this in a while. We talk about the CDL for like 5 minutes at the end, but we're getting down to the wire regarding what we got this last major, and then we've got champs.
Yeah.
Um,
This is the
and
final stage.
yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that we wanted to cover regarding some of these teams and giving some predictions to you guys, and just kind of giving an overall update here because probably the next time we talk about it is with the major four winners and then
Mm.
the winners of champs. Like we're probably only going to talk about it a couple
Mhm.
more times. Um, and I mean, honestly, just starting with it, like right now, there's 4 teams that are in the bottom, and Boston Breach is in the absolute bottom. They still have that 50-point maximum right now, and I don't know if they're going to
We're
get any more
eliminated.
points. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah, it's
over.
completely over. We'll state that, yeah. It's
Yeah,
over for the Breach. There's no chance for them to make champs. The only thing we can again, we said it past couple episodes, we just want them to win something, to get their morale up at least. But, yeah, we've won 5 games this year. 5
yeah.
games this year.
We're 5-22 right now, which
That's
is
nuts.
yeah.
Are we 5-23 now with this, or is that 22 including?
I think probably right now it's. I just refreshed. It's 5-23.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're 5-23 this year, and I wanna say, yeah, like 13 of those were game 5s.
Yeah.
Dude, that would the record could be so different. It could
Yeah,
be so different.
I mean, it's insane because that's like it's 5-23, and then our other one after that, other stat is 43-73, and I think that I believe is for like game wins.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah.
win. Yeah, like
Map
again,
win
just showing the
map wins.
amount of map fives that we've gone to. You
Yeah.
know, it is deceptive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, our woes, like this has been just kind of reflecting on it because it is pretty much over for us. Like we are going to go to Major Four, and then that'll be when it's officially over.
Mhm.
Um, but man, what a tough year for us. This has
Yeah.
been a year to forget, big time for the Breach. And honestly, I really don't. It's hard to pinpoint where it went wrong or how it went wrong because when we went into the season, we said it so much. We were so excited this season. I mean, dude, I'm looking at the posters that we have here, like of the old team. I mean, it's insane.
That's the best roster we had on paper.
Yeah,
Like,
not even
talking
close.
yeah, talking to other people, from the Breach, and I remember being the beginning of the year, we were all so excited. That was definitely the best roster we've had to date on paper.
Yeah.
And to remind people who we had Slasher, we had Priesta, we had Capsidal, and we had Snoopy. That was a team. That
Hmm.
was a squad. And Snoopy's the only one from the original roster from the beginning of the year.
Well, and Priesta too. Priesta
Oh, yeah, yeah,
has
yeah, and Priesta, yeah.
Priesta has stayed. But the other two guys, I mean, yeah, they've swapped those guys in and out. Like it's always been those two as the consistent people, and then after that, um, we've had like a revolving door
Yeah.
of different people, and they have not been able to find the combination. This team, to me, they've struggled immensely on pretty much every level. It's been very confusing. It
Mhm.
was not at all the year I know you and I weren't expecting with them. I thought this was going to be like I thought they were pretty much a shoe in for being a top 5 team.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think that I don't want to say it like negatively. I did not believe that they were going to be able to rival Toronto and FaZe and OPTIC and New York all the time.
Mhm.
Um, I still thought those teams were such a leg ahead, um, which turned out to be right. Mainly just right now New York's looking really good,
Mhm.
but those top 3 they're just on another level. But I was expecting them to play them close and maybe every once in a while steal a game from them. But man, they couldn't even beat the other teams that are in the bottom. Was it bottom 12? Like the bottom 4 there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, like, we were very excited with that original roster because, like you said, they would have had a chance against those top teams. Like, the fact that we would have a chance of beating them and not, like, a 1% chance or anything, like you said, there were maybe we show up and we just play better than them that day because COD is obviously like day to day, and we could make a run at the major. And like if you're just frying on all cylinders that day, you're gonna do well. But we can't even beat the bottom 4 teams or the other 3 teams. And to remind people, like the other players that we've had on the team, we've had Asim, we've had Pentagram, we've had Beans, and now we have Major Maniac. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say too, I don't know if we've gotten worse since this roster change because I was surprised that Boston even made a roster change. I'm glad they did just to try something to like get some win and just show fans that look, we're still trying, we're not giving up. But at least like we're just getting 3-0'd. So
Right.
are we worse?
Yeah, I don't that's a good question. I don't really know. Um, I personally think that we've kind of just moved laterally.
Yeah.
I think depending on some of the schedules, because I can't totally remember them going far back with some of the other rosters. I know we've struggled with every iteration of this team. I do remember we had talked about it. They had that match against Optic where they looked really good, and I think they ended up losing to them. I think they lost
Mhm.
once again, Game 5, and they got wrecked in the search. I think
Mhm.
that's what ended up happening, and the whole narrative with Boston this whole year has been that their search and destroy has been lacking. That was their main game mode that they would always lose. They were always winning the hard points. Like there was times where they looked like a disgusting hard point team, and then they would maybe sneak the control, and then they would win the map for another hard point. Um, but they would just lose all the searches. And every team that we've had since then, there's been nobody to figure out the searches. We still lose them. I think we've maybe won one or two search and destroys. Um, like within the past, I don't know, probably since major 2, major 3. It's,
Mhm.
I mean, it's very little that we've won. Um, and that was the whole reason I believe they did this move. The most recent one that they did with Major Maniac is because he was touted as being a solid search and destroy player. Um, and I I don't know if they've won a search. I think they did.
They won a search, but they
They
didn't
won
win the search that mattered, which is
right. They
game
won the
5.
game. Yeah, they won the game 2 search.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game 5 searches they still lost. I think they
Mhm.
who did they end up losing to? Because it was around 11. Do you remember?
Rocker.
Yeah, again.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah, I don't know what it is. I think that team again, they've moved laterally. And now with this iteration of the team, I think the hard points they've definitely gotten worse.
Yeah.
I
I
think that's
I'd agree because the iteration of the team before the change, they they were really really good at hardpoint. Like they would fry in hardpoint,
yeah.
and then but then it came to search, and they just everything went out the window. And it's just tough seeing this team, man. Like I would have never expected if we went back to the beginning of the year and you told us that yeah, you guys are gonna finish dead last in standings. I'm like, well, that dead last has to be deceiving because all
Right.
the teams must have been good.
Right.
No, this is very real. It's not deceiving at all.
Yeah.
We haven't
No.
won 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, and again with two guys on there who are world champs, you
Yeah.
know. And
And a lot.
especially with Priesta coming off last year. I mean, he was with New
Mhm.
York Subliners and won the world championship. They won it convincingly against Toronto Ultra. Um, we thought that was a snag and a steal that they ended up getting Priesta.
Mhm.
Um, and it still was, and it still is, but and I don't it's always hard, and I know you and I don't like it. We don't like to talk like this because it's not really our place with some of these guys, just because they are pros. But I think he's had just a bad year. I think he's really
Mhm.
struggled with this game, and it may be an individual struggle, or it may be like a team balance thing. I think with New York, he fit into that system really well, and I believe personally he's struggled to fit into the Boston system with the team. With the
Yeah,
players that are around him.
I'd agree. And I bet if you ask him, like, this is probably definitely his worst year statistically, you
Yeah.
know, like, which is saying a lot because his 2019 year in MW, like, it wasn't that great either. But at least he won
Yeah.
that year. Like this year, yeah, he struggled. Like you can every player will look good if your team's like looking good, and this team just someone's either really, really good and then the other people are cold, you know? Like you can't win just because of one person. And like you can argue that for like the insane superstars like Hydra, but you've seen Hydra like go off and New York still lose. It's this this game for Priesta, it just sucks because he is a world champ and he's won so many events that he knows that he should have a bigger impact. And it sucks too that the last time we won was with Slasher. And again, when we got Slasher, you and I were like amped. That was a huge pickup.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of Slasher. I thought that's exactly what we needed, like a voice like that, a veteran like that will speak up. But clearly that didn't work out. And Boston wanted to go like a different route, which does suck. But there was a part of me that was hoping like, can we get him back somehow? Like if they just benched him, but I don't think Slasher would want to be benched and just be riding.
Yeah, I don't see him wanting to do that either. Yeah, I mean, again, we can have our reasonings and our thoughts on it. I wish that they had kept him longer. Um, because again, I think he's a very tough player to get rid of,
Mm-hmm.
just from the sense of what he brings regarding game knowledge. Obviously Slasher's an amazing player too, and his knowledge of the game and leadership skills are a huge impact. And I think that is something that you see that in all the top teams, like the real top four, pretty much everybody on those teams. The biggest things or the biggest reasons why everybody in the top four team are winning is because they're consistent and they have like clear leadership and goals. Like they're all on the same page and know what they want to do. And they know how to achieve it. When you see with all the other teams in the CDL, I think that's where you get those inconsistencies from certain players. And then you also get, you know, they don't not on the same page on how to play the game. I
Mm-hmm.
think
Yeah, yeah.
it's very evident with some teams that they all have different ways of playing the game and they're not really playing as a team, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And when you're in the CDL and you're trying to beat these top four teams who are thinking like that, like the opposite of that, you'll never beat them.
Yeah, and I'm very much on the side. I love the get a veteran play and help out build like a strong base of young players.
Yeah, me too.
That's exactly what I wanted. And we had that. We literally had that beginning of the year, but it
Right.
just it didn't work. And you know, I going into the off season, that camp like it's gonna suck because there's gonna be a lot of changes, but those changes are gonna need to be made. So I'm sure they're gonna go and talk a lot about it because this year was probably supposed to be the most successful year for Boston Breach, but it turned out to be the worst year of the franchise. Like to put it into perspective, I pulled up the stats. FaZe is 30-6 overall this year. Wins losses.
Yep.
Boston is 5-23.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, we're comparing first place team against the dead last team. Let's compare them to the 11th place team. Actually, you know what? We're on since we're online. So if you guys aren't watching on YouTube, you should go on YouTube and look because I'm gonna share my screen here.
Let's pull it up, bro. I got it pulled up too, but you do it, dog.
Let let me
The exclusive of this. Yeah, I mean, you go and show the stats here and you could just see like the breakdown of it because there are certain spots where these teams, like there are these big drop offs, but then there's sometimes where you look at the percentages and you look at it and it's like it is deceptive, like you're saying. I mean, look at that 5-23 compared to the 43-73. That
yeah.
percentage, like the map win percentage, it's awful from Breach. But then you go
Mhm.
and you look at their game win percentage,
Mhm.
and it's way closer.
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because of how many freaking map 5s they've had.
Yeah, and then look at compared to the 11th place team, the Royal Ravens, they're 10-22, and we're 5-23. Like,
Yeah.
and the Ravens too, they've had way more success than the Breach. Like,
Oh, yeah,
I
way
would
more.
say, just not even looking at numbers, but, like, watching them play,
Yeah.
you know? We never had that, and it it's insane to me that we had that roster and we couldn't get it to work.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, and you look too, I mean, with all the teams there, 11, 10, 9, 8, and set, well, all the way from 6 to 11,
Mhm.
it's so close. Even
Yep.
with, Surge in there too, being at 160. Surge has been looking really good the past couple weekends. They've definitely stepped it up. No one's gonna be touching uh phase all the way through subliners. I mean, that's pretty much solidified, and especially through phase to Toronto. Those, look at how far ahead they are compared to everybody.
Mhm.
I really think this year, those 3 teams, they're the best that they've ever been.
Mhm. I
I
agree.
I think I think this is one of the best versions of phase, and I'd say, like, for Optic Texas too, this is one of the best versions they've had. Phase, comparatively though, like, I think they were still the best in Cold War. I think that version of the team was just absolutely insane. But overall, the competition level that we've received in the CDL so far, I think it's been the best this year between these 3 teams because they've been so close. And so far, every major that we've had, 1 through 3, it's been those top 3 that have
Mhm.
won.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, FaZe, that Cold War year, uh, they were untouchable that
Yeah.
year. Um, and FaZe as a whole, like, when Arceus was on the team, that team was untouchable for a long time. So I do agree with you that this roster now with Draza in it, like, this team's disgusting, but they need, like, a couple more years for them to be added to that, original, that other phase roster, Um, but, like, this is insane. 83.33% percentage
Yeah.
win-loss.
I mean, dude, we just saw it this weekend. They went and played. Well, like for you guys, it was a while ago now, and they played Carolina, and they were down 0-2.
Yeah.
And dude, but I was watching that. Like, I saw it. I remember I was out to eat, and I just pulled it up, and I'm like, yeah, FaZe will win this.
Yeah.
I had, and then I saw like CDL Intel. They tweeted it out. They're like, oh no, like it's game 5. I'm like, yep, they're breaking. Like,
Mhm.
there's no way that team can just let that slip. You know.
Mhm.
I think they've maybe let 1 or 2 games slip this whole year.
Mhm.
Um, but they brought it back, and they just, again, they're going to be in a game. There's an 83% chance they're going to win it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
insane. It's like,
Yeah,
it's very hard to ever bet against them.
look at this, the top 4 win percentage. That's insane. How
Yeah.
far ahead they actually are. This 4th spot or 5th spot, this is where Boston was predicted to be.
Yeah.
Like, remember when Surge was so bad back in 2019?
Yeah. They were terrible.
Like, yeah, it's crazy that Boston is dead last, like, significantly dead last too.
Yeah. Because again, like we've been talking about it this past weekend or this past week now, the race is really close, and all these matches are really important. I think that's why it's worthwhile to be tuning into some of these lower matches, like, you know, not just the phase and ultra ones. Even if they do match up against each other, it's still going to be a great game. But when
Mhm.
it's going to be those top 4 teams and they match up against any of the other teams that are 5 through, I mean, unfortunately, 5 through 11, it's really big.
Mhm.
Like that win for Seattle there against Boston that happened. That was a huge win for them because that's just
Mhm.
more points in the bag that they can now get to try to stretch that lead against Thieves and everybody else.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just looking for major 4. Yeah, major 4 is gonna be June 30th, or no, the end of June. When is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so June 24th that week. So it's gonna start June 22nd 7th, 27th to the 30th for Major 4. And it sucks because Major 4 is going to be no fans. That's going to suck for whoever wins. Like, they're going to win, cool, but, it's just going to be.
And they're going to be all hyped up like, yes! And it's going to be dead
Yeah.
silent.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because, like you said, Major 4 is going to be big for these teams. 5th to honestly
11.
like 11th.
Yeah.
Boston's just out of the question.
Yeah.
Like
The only
Vegas.
thing they can do is play spoiler.
Yeah, exactly. Like Vegas, Gorillas, and Ravens, they're not completely out of it. Like if
no, not at all.
if Thieves, Heretics, or Rocker will just lose a couple games against these guys, especially, they're right in it. Like the battle for 8th is gonna be insane, and Boston has been doing that since they entered the league. Outside of this season, right? And I can tell you, it sucks being in that position.
Yeah,
because it's gonna get to the point where the 9th place team is gonna be sitting and waiting for like another team to lose for them to get in, and it sucks. So yeah, it's so close. You can see Surge is sort of pulling away, but they're not that far ahead, especially if one of these teams make a run at Major 4. But yeah, I mean, if Thieves, Heretics, or Rocker they lose, Legion, Gorillas, and Ravens are right there.
Yeah, and the teams right now that are looking good, like at the time of recording, Surge is looking good, and I believe too. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I believe Miami has stepped up. Like they are looking like a better team. Minnesota Rocker, I don't believe so. I think they're struggling. Again, the consistency factor. The consistency factor with all these teams in the bottom realm is an issue for them. But I would say Surge is at the current time they look like they've been doing a lot better. And it's just certain players that are always consistent. Like Thieves, Dan Ghosty is always killing it. Like he's always looking good on that team. And then some other teams like one that I really hope they make it out. I don't know if they will, but Carolina, because I'm a big Clayster fan. But seeing Gwyn is still right now, he's very up and down. Earlier in the season, he was undeniable. He was so good. He was going to be rookie of the year. But recently, man, he's been struggling a lot.
Yeah.
And like you said, when you have one person on that team who is the X factor, who's not doing that well, it has a huge impact on them. They can't pull it together. Because all the other guys, they can't try to just pull their weight. And even with you have one guy who's doing good and then they all have kind of average games, it's not going to happen. We just saw that with Vegas. Vegas, that when they played Optic, I think that was the first weekend of Major 4, right? Or like the Major 4 qualifiers. Yeah, they went and played Optic and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Optic's going to smoke them." Optic just I think they just had a bad match. They didn't really look that good. But Vegas, those guys, they got to do whatever they did that day over and over again. Everybody on that team was insane. They were undeniable. I mean, Nero, like, former Boston Breach, the guy he was just undeniable. He looked so good. And same thing with Johnny. Like when you have everybody on the team on the same page playing at their peak, it's very hard to beat them. And it shows that those teams can still, like, they can hang, like, even though they're in 9th right now, they could potentially, like, I'm not saying they could always win, but they can make it a close match against some of these top 3, top 4 teams.
Yeah. And it's crazy that the Heretics are still up here because right now they don't have Vickle. Purge is still like subbing for the team. And the only reason why they're still in the top 8, in my opinion, is because of that Major 1.
Yeah.
Like they were insane the beginning of the year for whatever. I mean, it's the beginning of the year, but they remember like they're frying like online. They're nuts in stage 1. And then they got Major 1 and they got first rounded.
Yeah.
Like that in my opinion, is a big reason why Heretics are still up here. Uh, I personally, I don't think they're gonna make it. I don't think they're gonna be able to hold on to the 7th or 8th seed going into champs. I think Legion's gonna get up there and knock out Heretics, or I'm gonna say the Gorillas.
Yeah.
I think those two are gonna make it and knock out Heretics and Rocker.
So I was gonna say, yeah, your bottom 4 teams for the CDL for this year, the teams that are not going to make it a champs, you think are going to be Heretics, Rocker, Ravens, and Breach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'd I'd rather have Ravens in than Gorillas. Sorry,
yeah.
but I don't know. I just have a feeling that Gorillas are gonna make that eighth, 7th.
I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna stay the same, except I think Vegas will make it out, and Rocker is gonna. I think they're gonna fall out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be the bottom 4 would be Rocker, Gorillas, Ravens, and then Breach.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just have a feeling that right, like Vegas, they'll be able to catch some heat. They won that game against Optic. They're feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
I think they may, just catch a little bit of wind and be able to, pull through. I mean, again, a lot of stuff has to happen here for these teams to end up making it. Like there's got to be one team that wins and another team that loses. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to come down to like just the rest of the schedule because I can't remember what the rest of the schedule is going to be now for some of these bottom teams
That's
for the
right.
coming weeks
Up
because we
here.
can go we can go check it. Like what does this say? I mean, yeah, the Breach and Optic ones, whatever. um
So
I'm trying to
today
see.
we're recording on June 8th.
Yeah,
So we got Carolina. Oh, well, game's happening right now. Legion versus Subliners. This
and
is
Legion's up in that game right now.
this is big for Legion. Obviously, if they can win this, that's huge. But these next couple of games, Mike, look at this.
Yeah,
Raven Thieves, that's a big game
yeah,
for Thieves
that
to
is a
pull
huge
away.
game.
Or Ravens need to win that to like get an edge over these guys. Gorillas, Heretics, another big game for these guys. That is tough. Atlanta FaZe against the Gorillas.
Yeah, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, that's going to be a loss for them, and that sucks because it's like they look at everybody else that they're playing and they're like, man, it's
Mhm.
not that bad. Like, they're going to be all playing each other, and then Gorilla's got to play the number 1 team. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, and then
you know,
yeah, and then Heretics have to play Ultra tomorrow and Sunday,
you know,
and then
I
Rocker have to play Texas
I tell you
tomorrow.
this, bro. It's just because you like. I wanted to pull it up here to see where they were at because this is what I'm talking about, dude.
Mhm.
Hit refresh on the page and look at that game. What's going on right now? See where the score is at. Look at that.
Oh, there we
2-0
go.
right now.
Yo.
Going into the control on high rise. Like,
Mhm. Close
knock
it
on
out.
wood. Knock on wood right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like what I'm saying though, man, I had this feeling Vegas, they felt insane. That was like the biggest dopamine boost ever that they just beat Optic. And now they're
Mhm.
like, dude, we could beat New York. You
Mhm.
know, I think they're gonna catch a little bit of that. Do I think that they're like better than those teams? Of course not. I mean,
Mhm.
like, there's no way. I really believe this, and I may piss people off, but there really is like a skill difference between the guys that are in the top 4 teams compared to some of the lower teams. I mean, there
Mhm.
simply is, right? Like, is anybody denying that? I
I
don't.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I
like I don't think that people get like all upset about that, but I'm like, man, Atlanta FaZe and Optic Texas and like Ultra in New York, those players are just simply better than a lot of the other players in the league.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
yeah. I would personally, I would narrow it down just to FaZe and Optic, like
Yeah,
skill wise, because I like I'm talking as the team as a whole. Like all 4 of those individual players are insane between
yeah,
FaZe and Optic. Ultra and Subliners, I think they have their insane stars like Scrap, Kleenex, uh, and then Hydra. To be honest, like I look at New York and I see Hydra. Like Hydra is that guy. Um, but yeah, like you said, I think the other teams, like the way to beat them is to have 4 players with insane chemistry and you just out teamwork them. Like
yeah,
you have to have insane teamwork across a map and any mistake that those teams make, you have to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it multiple times, like 4 skilled players, and they're just chowing and not actually working as a team, as a unit, you're not gonna win. Like, skill can only take you so far, but then that's when you see, Legion, they have 4 really, really good players. They're all in the league. They can hang in this league. But when they're all shooting on all cylinders and they're all working together, and then Optics having, an off day, they're not playing as a team, you know, Legion took advantage of it.
Yeah.
So, uh, I agree with what you said about, all these skilled players and, the bottom teams, there is like a skill gap, but there's a reason why these guys are in the league and they can take them down. It's just, depending on the day and if the other team isn't, having really good teamwork. Cuz like look at Ravens in the beginning of the season looked really really good with their teamwork. And people are predicting that, they're going to make like a decent run. But now they're 11th, right? And the top 4 teams just started like cleaning up their teamwork. Like subliners. They're down down right now. But they're looking really bad at the beginning of the year. And then they start to slowly like get better and their teamwork was getting better. But, you know, I think that if these bottom tier teams can catch these guys on a worse day than they normally are, and if they're all shooting straight that day, and if their teamwork's insane that day.
They slept enough.
Yeah,
They're all feeling
yeah.
good. You know
'Cause
what this is
it can
also
happen.
yeah, you know what this is saying too? Like, overall, what both of us are saying is that COD is so day to day.
Yeah,
It is
it is.
insane. Because again, like, I personally think this, and I can speak for you on this, like, OPTIC is a better team than Vegas.
Yeah,
There's no way that there's anybody who saw Vegas beat OPTIC and is like, "Oh, dude, Vegas is a better team than them." Like, no.
yeah.
I'm sorry. It's not the case. Vegas had a great day, and they were looking really good, and OPTIC had a bad day, and they
Mhm,
looked terrible, you know? But to catch all of these guys on a really good day where you said everything's gelling, everything's flowing, um, and to get that all the time consistently, that's why FaZe is where they are, you know?
mhm,
Like, and that's why Optic is where they are too. Like, they've had, I mean, out of those 6, and 10 losses that they have, there's probably been maybe 2 or 3 games, I would say probably throughout the season so far, maybe for both of them or even combined, where they lost to a team that was a shock,
mhm.
where they just played really bad and you were like, wow, I can't believe. Like, that was me with like the Vegas one. I mean, I was shocked. I couldn't believe that
Yeah,
they lost to them. And I remember FaZe had that. I think they did lose at some point earlier when Assault was on the team for LAG. I remember they
yeah.
lost, like 3-0 to them or something. Um, and you remember seeing them afterwards. They're like upset, of course, but part of them too is like, dude, we just
Yeah, it
played like
just
shit.
it happens. Yeah.
It happens. You can't always play like that.
Mhm.
But they've also won 30 matches,
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why it shows that those guys,
Mhm.
like in the top 2 teams, they're able to be so like, you know,
They're human.
83.33% consistent and
Yeah.
74.36 consistent. And you look at Toronto, like there was the time um where Envoy was just in a drought. He was doing really bad. I mean, I think it's safe to say it was probably the worst stretch of his career personally where he played. He was playing awful. He was
Mhm,
clearly, mentally there was some issue going on there within the game. It's not like all of a sudden he just got bad at the game. I think it's the
mhm.
same. It's like the Boston effect, you know,
Yeah.
that you lose a lot and you just get in your head. You play
Mhm.
like 3 bad games and now you're tweaking on the
Yeah,
controller,
yeah.
you know. But then he turned it around and then they became a much better team,
Mhm.
you know.
And, like, one thing I wanna point out too is that we this is a format issue, like,
Yes. Yes.
but we're only seeing the players play that one match and then judging it, that win-loss off of, like, that one match, right? And this probably isn't true, but for all we know, FaZe is losing every single scrim, and then they're just winning the matches that they need to that are actually live, right?
Right.
Obviously, like, that's not true, right?
Right.
But um with the format, like you have to win that game that the few games that you have, right?
Yeah.
And you could be frying, like you win every single scrim leading up to this game, and then you go and play the match that actually matters, and it's live, and then you lose, right?
Yeah.
Just because you woke up that day and your team's just not the same.
Yeah.
And we hear it all the time on the flank and from pros that scrims are going well, really, really well. And I'm sure like scrims and matches feel completely different, I'd imagine, but more COD would be a lot better to watch and probably better to judge off of just like a couple matches, like
Yeah.
I'm not saying that for Boston, like maybe they are frying in scrims, who knows, but I think they'd have a slightly better record. We'd have a better pool to look at than them. What now? They're 0-10, right? Yeah, 0-10.
Yeah.
I'd have to imagine in scrims they're getting one at least,
Yeah.
right?
Right. You'd have to think.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a shame that it's, I hope. I'd imagine. um, it just sucks that we're only seeing, these couple ones. But then you can, the other side that you can argue is they're professionals. You need to go out and be consistent, which that is completely true too. Because look at FaZe,
Right.
look at Optic, look at Ultra, and Subway. Like they're consistent.
Yeah, I mean, this is just it is a product of the CDL and what they've got right now, and the fact that they only have 12 teams. Um, and of course, too, we have the online matches. You know, I know most people don't, and I'm with them. I kind of am over it. I hate online matches. Um, it's just the excitement level and the energy is not there, and it's way different to be playing online than it is to be playing, on a LAN event. Actually playing live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is the way it is. And I don't know in the future because I remember we talked about that news a while ago about we talked about it last week too with the buyout, the 25 mil pretty much being dissolved.
That's
That's
good.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to do that anymore. Um, I hope that we see more teams come into the CDL so that way this schedule could look a little bit better because it's very tough to try to keep this interesting. Um, and action packed when there's only 12 teams. If you have
Mhm.
15, 18 teams, whatever, um, then you're talking a different story and scheduling's a lot
Mhm.
easier.
Yeah,
Um,
and I want to add too, like the back in the CWL era, which people will reference that it was definitely way better. But teams would travel to Columbus and they would play their, qualifying matches there, like on LAN. And okay, I'm not a pro player and like I don't really travel a lot, but in my eyes, as a fan, you need to be. They should be on LAN, and if they have to travel, it's part of the job.
yeah,
I may get some flack for that, but I'd much rather all these guys, travel to one place every single week and play on LAN.
yeah,
And I'm sure they probably would rather play on LAN too, but I'm sure some of them don't want to travel all that time. But
right,
you can fix that traveling schedule with, the format. Like I
yeah,
know in the CWL, teams would come in, they'd play a bunch of their like a couple teams would play their matches on LAN and stay there for a while. Then they would leave, and then a couple more teams would come back and play on LAN. Like imagine if it was like four teams, like say the bottom four right now, they go to Columbus and then they play the rest of the league,
yeah,
like other matches, like whatever 3 to 5 matches, like that time that they're there,
yeah,
and then they just rotate off.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely ways around it.
Mm-hmm.
I think like everything you suggested, I mean, it would make sense, and I do agree. I don't. I hate when people say that, like they get upset about what you just said, that it is part of the job. And it's
Yeah.
like, man, like you're gonna have these pros and cons to your job, and if that's part of what you got to do in order for like the fans to be happier and to maybe generate more money, because if you want to sell tickets to these events, granted, I know like you know they're probably not going to be making anywhere near as much money as they are saving right now by just doing online events. Um, but like, in order to appease the fans, that's maybe a sacrifice you have to make.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I hope we see something like that because I'm sure there are, logistics that could be worked out to make it viable, but
Mhm.
will it happen? Because, right now they save so much money doing this and they're like, well, it works. So why should we really bother changing it?
Mhm.
That I don't know.
Yeah. I hope the players, like, take a stand on it because obviously they were able to do it years ago
Right.
and it worked.
Right.
And players in my eyes still have, like, the keys to all of this, right? Like, they're the important they make up the CDL. That's what we're there to watch, like, the players. And I bet if players say, "We need to be on land," um, and, if they have to travel, they have to travel, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's part of the job, they're professionals. Uh, maybe format it to a way where it's not, like, so hard on them. Like, it's gonna be difficult. I remember the 2019 schedule that was rumored where they would have to travel, like, 1 weekend to go play 1 match. That
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty ridiculous, not gonna
Yeah.
lie, for traveling to play maybe 30 minutes tops, you
Yeah.
know? That'd be nuts.
Yeah, I know that no, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, and that's where, talking about before regarding the format, that's where it needs to be upgraded and
Mhm,
overhauled because again, if you're going to be there, um you want to see a lot of matches and you want to be playing a lot, to make it
mhm,
worthwhile. Like you said, one match for you to
bro.
go travel to freaking London or to be traveling halfway across the country, you know,
Lose.
like yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
imagine. Yeah,
You go take a 3-4 hour flight, you play for 20 minutes, lose, go back home.
yep,
It's like, what is that?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be bullshit if I was a
See,
player.
that format is, people are trying to do that with regular sports. I'm like, that works for regular sports. One, because they make so much money. Two, their games are way longer than these matches.
Right,
Like,
right.
dude, if I'm a fan and I bought tickets to like a Patriots game and the game ended in 30 minutes, I'm pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'd be ridiculous, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's not ideal. If you watch during the CWL era and then watching this, you definitely, can relate to what we're feeling. A
Yeah,
lot of people can. I mean, it's not as much COD and the
mhm.
experience overall is it has gone down a bit.
Yeah, and like you said, we want to make this thing grow and generate more fans, and the best way to do that, like you and I both will agree, is having those live events. And if you can see the players at least like on LAN, it's you can like sort of picture, being in the venue, right? Not gonna say like major four, that sucks. Like every single event should have fans, but you need to make it as close to LAN as possible for the players to
Right.
make it even, and then you bring the fans in and stuff. And I mean, like, dude, it'd be cool if they did something like that where they would go to Columbus again, right? And then say, like I said, bottom four teams for qualifying matches, and then you sell tickets to those. Like
Yeah.
they don't, and it doesn't need to be like a crazy event or anything, but it's just like regular matches.
Mhm.
You come in, watch like regular match day, and then leave,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, no, I think that would make sense too. Like, it doesn't have to be some huge spectacle that they have to go and,
mhm,
go crazy for. Save that for the majors,
mhm.
but for these weekend matches and stuff that are coming up, you don't have to make it as big. You make it more accessible to people.
Yeah,
And people who want to just see live COD, period, they'd go out and do that stuff. They'd still want to go check it out.
mhm, yeah,
Um,
and I'm sure you heard it on the Flank too, or I don't know if it was a Flank or if it was Optics podcast, but they're saying that oh no, it was definitely Optics podcast. The venue for Nade and Banks like 1v1, uh yeah, Zinni was like, why don't we have Major 4 there?
right.
Because that's way cooler. Like you have a stage, you have the animatron, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
You could put fans in that that area.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm again, there's got to be some reasoning behind all that stuff because there's too many there's too many options for them that would make sense and they don't want to do it. And I don't want to just say they're lazy and they don't
Yeah, yeah.
care. Because I personally don't think that's true.
Mhm.
There's probably some people out there like, no, that is true. It's like I can't speak for those people. There's got to be
Yeah.
something there, but
There's gotta
no,
be something holding them back
yeah, exactly, yeah,
because I think they
exactly,
would all want that too. Because
right,
especially they had it was FaZe, OPTIC, and 100 Thieves. 3 organizations, and they put that event together, and that
right,
event was insane.
yeah,
That was a really good event, and that
yeah.
was just on 3 teams, right?
Right.
And we have a whole damn league.
Yeah, they got
And,
yeah,
like
I mean, the production they have is insane, like, dude, they could pull that off.
yeah, they could do so much. So I like you said, I'd have to imagine that there's something at the top that's like, "You can't go past this," right? "You can't do
Right.
this." And I'm sure the production team, they would wanna put on, like, an insane show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I don't we'll ever get answers to that stuff. I wish we could, but,
mhm,
something I wanted to ask you too, kinda, like, wrapping up on this is, a lot of people either like this or hate this, and I think because right now in the CDL, the top I mean, it is so top heavy,
yeah,
the main battle that we're
look at
talking
that.
about, which, by the way, as we're doing this, yeah, I had it pulled up on my phone to see that Vegas 3-0'd the New York Subliners. This is what I'm talking about, bro. I ain't no fucking expert at
Yeah.
this, but I feel like I know ball. You know, like, there we go. Vegas looking good.
Look
They're
at
into the top 8 now. They're up there, you
yep,
know? Yeah, beating a team that they technically shouldn't have beat.
yep.
Um, but now with Vegas being out of it, out of the bottom 4, and I was saying before, with it being so top heavy with the top 4 that 100% they are gonna make champs, um, do you like or dislike the fact that there are 4 teams that don't go to COD champs?
Uh, see, this is, like, a question since the CDL started that I see the benefits of both sides, and I'm not gonna dig myself into a hole and say one side is better than the other because of just my personality. Because okay, so top 8, I think you worked all year, like, you had all year and the same opportunity like every other team to get points and qualify into champs. Champs is the biggest event of the year for Call of Duty. It's like the Super Bowl. So why shouldn't there be like criteria and like stakes to make it into that event, right? You have to be playing insane and throughout the whole season to even qualify to make that. Like why do you deserve the chance to win the what is like 2.2 million or 1.8 million? Why do you get the chance to like play for that if you weren't winning anything throughout the rest of the season? Every team had the same opportunity, right? But then on the other end, where chance was always every team would just go, right? And the best team would go and win. Um, the nostalgia factor, I do like that, but it was different back then because there was still pool play. More teams had the opportunity, and you could like make a run for it, right? Um, I I'd like to see all 12 teams in for the CDL, maybe just because there's only 12 teams. I think if there were like 20 for let's go back to what it was before 32 teams. If there were 32 teams, I like how there's a limit
Yeah.
because there's so many teams to make it super interesting. There's only 12. Um, I'd like to see a little bit more just because the format's just so hard to do with only 12 teams. It's so small.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I pretty much second everything that you said. I like it right now because like we've been talking about this whole episode and just going forward throughout this month. Because I think when is this episode going to be coming out? And you guys will be hearing it like what, late June, I think,
June
sometime.
24th.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like from now, the 8th to the 24th, like all the matches that we've really been engaged in are the ones from 5 to 11
Mhm.
because like that for me is a way to generate excitement about the middle teams or like the middle tiers because again, I people know I always bring this shit up. Like in F1, people love the mid-pack race. I'm like, for what? There's nothing that they're playing for. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, everybody knows that, these guys are not going to win the race and they're not going to win the championship and all that stuff. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. For this, I'm like, man, this mid pack race is actually interesting because any of these teams could not go and qualify for the world championship. So it does give you some interest to watch matches that early on in the year you maybe don't care about, but now you do because they're all these matches are very important.
Mhm.
So I do like it for that aspect. To your point though, this would be way better if there was something like 32 teams or 24 teams and you'd have 4 teams that don't go. Now when at champs there's only 8 teams, it's like, damn, it's
Yeah.
slim. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really slim. Those days, like throughout that champs week, there's like 1 or 2 matches a day. Like,
Mhm.
because there's like, bro, there's only so many combinations we can do here, you
Mhm.
know?
And, like,
Um,
good matches too. That's the other
yeah,
thing. Like, okay, going to champs. We got FAZE, OPTIC, and Ultra. Maybe you can even throw sub. Actually, no, I'm not gonna throw subliners in there because they just lost. But
yeah,
FAZE, OPTIC, and Ultra. I think we all can agree that one of those three are winning champs.
yeah,
Like, and that's 3 out of the 8 teams.
right.
So, and as a fan, man, I would hate because I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can only buy day tickets for champs. Dude, if I'm spending like $80 on one day
Yeah,
to go, and then I get to watch, no offense, Thieves versus Legion, and then Subliners versus Heretics, and then my days got over, I'm pissed.
yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, if that is the case, I mean, dude, you just go and you splurge for Sunday.
Yeah.
You just go crazy and buy the Sunday one because it's going to be, winners final, losers final. I'd imagine they're going to do that, right? They're probably going to do losers final, winners final,
Yeah.
and then grand finals.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, why wouldn't you buy that day then? If that is like what you're saying, because I have no idea if that's how it works. For us, like obviously when we've gone to any of the majors, like you just buy for the whole weekend, you buy
Mhm.
the tickets.
Mhm.
But if it's just day passes only,
Mhm.
like yeah,
Well,
that's
champs is like slightly different. I'm pretty sure Sunday is literally just losers finals and winners finals, unless they changed it from last year.
or you mean like what about grand finals though? Because
Oh,
isn't
sorry.
there
No, I
winner?
meant grand finals and losers finals. Like
So yes, okay,
yeah. Because what grand finals is a best of 7.
yeah,
I'm trying to remember now. Was last year just one game on Sunday? Low key? Was it just grand finals?
bro. I'm looking this up right now. I'm gonna pull the bracket up because I'm curious as to what it was. Well, it may not even say what it was
Yeah,
as to
the
when they
days.
played.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it'll tell you when it happened. Um,
because
okay, so no, you ready? So okay, so well, winners bracket was Thursday the 15th
mhm,
of June through the 17th. Losers was the 16th to the 17th. Grand finals was on Sunday.
that was it, right?
So
Was
I
there
and I,
something
I
else?
yeah, I think that's it. I think on Sunday it was just grand finals. That was the only match that was going on there.
Bro, I'd be if I was a player and a fan, I'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, so you just show up and play that match for grand finals, which I kind of like that in the
Mhm,
sense that, like, hear me out. Like, my last thing on this, I like that because we saw that with major three with
yeah,
Optic. Like, they're super hot, they're feeling really good, and Ultra had been sitting out for a match. Now, like, of course, it's been on the other end where the team that has gone through losers runs out of steam and
mhm,
loses, and the team that's been sitting comes out and fries. That didn't happen with the Ultra one, but
mhm,
at least on that grand final Sunday, both teams, if it is that way where they just play the one match, both teams have not played. Like
mhm,
they've just warmed up in the morning, and it's like, okay, this is pretty much as even of a playing field as you can get. They're both going to wake up. They're both going to play this
mhm,
match. So it's really like you can't say like, "Oh, dude, they played last." Like,
mhm.
they're
Oh,
feeling
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah,
good. It's like
yeah.
there's none of that cheese going on.
I agree. That's like a good way to look at it because you're right. They're on the most even playing field as possible.
Yeah.
But as a fan, though, what if they just 4-0?
Well, people.
Oh, right? Like, should
CDL 2023.
should they be playing more COD? Like, if they're just doing grand finals that day, right? Maybe they should be doing like a best of 12. So,
Yeah.
like, you know what
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean?
I know what you mean. I know
Yeah,
what you mean.
because
Bro, think about those people who bought tickets for that Champ Sunday.
yeah, no,
Shit
yeah,
was over in
exactly,
half an hour.
dude. Yeah,
They
I'd
showed up
be
to the venue a half hour early. Matches started like, let's lock in. And
yeah.
it's 4-0, and you're
Mhm,
like, bro,
mhm.
what?
Granted, okay, this is the other thing too. I think in other esports like CS:GO, it goes all the way to round like 12 or some shit. I don't know. I don't play, guys. Like, don't fucking cook me.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of rounds.
Yeah.
Um, but if they did that many maps for grand finals in COD, I'd be okay with that. But the problem is a map pool that we have. Dude, we'd have like Karachi, 6-star, uh, what a Rio, 6-star, like
Yeah,
high
it would
rise.
get kind of boring, yeah.
Yeah. That's why we need a lot of maps. That's a whole
Yeah.
different topic. But regardless, though, going back to what you were saying, yeah, like the mid pack teams, this is when it gets really interesting. And by the time you guys listen to this, um, the last matches have happened going into Major Four.
Yeah,
Like
so now
Major Four
major
is the upcoming weekend that you guys listen to this.
yeah, and that major is gonna be everything, you know?
Mhm,
Assuming that I mean, just based off of the amount of points that they earn, this race is still gonna be very tight.
mhm,
Um, but I'm saying it right now, my prediction, lock it in, the teams that won't be going to champs, it's gonna be it's gonna be what it is right now. It's gonna be Rocker, Gorillas, Ravens, and then obviously Breach. I'm
mhm,
gonna lock it in at that. I think it's
mhm.
gonna stay that way.
I'm locking in the 4 teams that aren't making it. I'm saying Heretics, Rocker, Ravens, and Breach. That's what I'm
Damn.
saying.
We'll see if we're right, bro.
Yeah. Uh, but
You buy
like
me a
you said,
coffee.
but Major 4 is gonna be good because like in this scenario, what if it's Legion versus Rocker elimination round?
Yeah.
Someone's not making champs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they had someone Legion have to win and Rocker have to win. Like champs is
Yeah.
on the line. Um, what makes it even scarier is you get a team like Boston who has no hope at all. Sorry, but if you're playing against Legion, you're like, guys, we can just Legion. All they oh no, sorry, they play Rocker, right? Legion's knocked out, right? So now they're just relying on fate. They need Rocker to lose.
Yeah.
Rocker versus Breach. If Rocker beat Breach, they make it into eighth. But
Yeah.
if Breach, the worst team in the league right now, somehow they beat Rocker and they don't make champs, oh man.
Yeah, it would be insane.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's the only thing that we've got right now, unfortunately, as Boston Breach fans, is we're just gonna be hoping and watching for any them to play spoiler. Because I'd like to any team that they play, I'm just gonna be like, "Fuck them up, fuck them up,"
Go
you
win
know?
it all. Could you imagine
Yeah.
Boston just wins it all?
Yeah, bro, it'd be insane. They just upset everybody in, like, the
Yeah.
bottom 8 just or the bottom 4 looks absolutely ridiculous
They
because
just
they made a run.
like, that would
Yeah.
be nice to see. That'd be fun to see.
Well, that's all we can really
'Cause
hope for at this point.
Boston can just screw up like the bottom 4.
Yeah, they could.
They're
They
like
could.
or sorry,
Definitely.
the bottom 6. They could just screw it all up at Major 4.
They
Go
could.
in, fuck it then. Just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
in. What if they knock out Legion, Rocker, and, like, Gorillas,
yeah,
and now, like, they're just waiting at this point, seeing if they
yeah.
make it or not.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sight to see. I mean, we'll definitely be watching, and we hope you are too.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a really good major again. Unfortunately, without any fans, but the stakes are gonna be really, really high for this one. So it's gonna
Mhm.
be cool to watch.
This side note, isn't this crazy? Boston, Major 1.
Yeah,
That was
that is crazy. Who ended up winning this? Ultra, right?
yeah,
Toronto won
Ultra.
it, and
Yeah.
how much did they beat FaZe by? Was it like a
3-1.
Go to grand finals because that was winners finals there.
Oh.
Can you scroll? Do you scroll to the right?
What the heck? No.
It's to be determined then. Yeah, I think they beat. Can you actually not? God damn.
No, I can't. Yeah.
Bro, they got to fix their shit.
Yo, CDL.
Bro, you can't even scroll
Your
right.
site?
Yeah. Well, it was obviously FAZE and Ultra again there. But yeah, I can't remember what the map count was on that one. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, man, we're excited for it. It's going to be good stuff to be watching going forward. So
wait, hold on, dude. Wait.
You can't do it for any of them.
Yeah, I can't do it for any of them. But okay, Major 1, right? Surge beat Breach, Game 5. We get eliminated at our own major.
Yep.
Major 2. Rocker beat us, Game 5, eliminated from Major 2.
Right.
Don't tell me this is a Game 5 too. Major 3. No way. Major 3, Game 5. We get eliminated by Thieves. Will history repeat itself?
Tune in
next time.
Oh my god! But yeah, man, I'm all done. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No. Let me stop sharing my screen
and
here.
Fix us there.
But yeah, if you guys weren't watching on YouTube, then it probably got a little confusing. But go watch on the YouTube. We were showing some stuff. That's the advantage, right? That we have when we're doing this stuff online.
Exactly. That's the dope part about it. So again, if you are watching, and by the way, if you have made it all the way to the end, thank you very much for watching episode 176 of the COD Casuals. Be sure to go to the YouTube. Go to the YouTube. Go watch their comment, like, subscribe. I think we're almost at 100 subs. Please give us that 100. We'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as well, going to anchor.fm/COD Casual since we're on all streaming platforms. And again, once again, that YouTube, I think we only need a couple more. And then going to our Instagram and our TikTok. If you don't want to watch a full episode, you can go there and watch the cut up parts of it as well. And then you know about that rating, 5 star.
5 stars only.
Yeah, no 4 stars. We're on the way to being the #1 COD podcast in the world, in the universe.
And let us know what your bottom 4 teams are.
Yes, exactly. That'll be our thing as well. Do you agree or disagree with us? And then some of our takes too regarding the elimination. Do you like the fact that not all teams go to champs, or do you like that? Let us know. We'd appreciate it. And I think that's it, bro. Yeah.
Yep. We're good.
So again, thank you for everybody listening to episode 176 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your hosts, Mike
and Justin.
And we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.